Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Hello, this is Lal from puredhamma.net. Many people believe that just living a moral life or cultivating sila is enough to attain nibbana or permanent happiness. That idea itself is a micchaditthi or a wrong view. That idea is also called Silabbata Paramasa and is one of the Sangyojana removed at the Sotapanna stage. In the previous 4 desanas, we mainly concentrated on the first 2 suttas delivered by the Buddha, Dhammacakka Pavattana Sutta and the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta. Here we will also discuss a couple more, including the Mahachattarisika Sutta, which really emphasizes the need to go beyond sila and to cultivate panya or wisdom by comprehending Tilakknana. I have discussed the key ideas of the sutta in the post Mahachattarisika Sutta, Discourse on the Great 40. Here we will discuss more details and also its connection to Tilakknana. There are 40 factors discussed in the sutta. 20 of those contribute to paths that lead to bad outcomes and bad rebirths. Then there are 10 factors that will lead to good rebirths. Finally, there are 10 more factors that will lead to nibbana. So those are the 40 factors discussed in the sutta. One may wonder why there are 10 factors or 10 steps to nibbana, since we talk about the eightfold path all the time. Samma ditti, samma sankappa, samma vacha, samma kammanta, samma ajiva, samma vayama, samma sati and samma samadhi. The eightfold path is for those who are working on attaining nibbana. That includes everyone all the way up to the anagami stage. When one completes the Noble Eightfold Path, one gets to the Samma Jnana step, which then automatically leads to the step of Samma Vimutti, or the full release. So when one completes the Noble Eightfold Path and attains the arahanthood, then one has automatically completed all 10 steps. Now in the sutta, the Buddha starts off by saying that Samma Ditti is foremost about getting rid of wrong views about this world. Then he lists the 10 types of Micchaditti that we have discussed in several posts. These are the following wrong views. There are no karmic benefits in giving, that paying back debts is not necessary, that there are no benefits of respecting noble ones and also those with high moral qualities. There are no benefits of taking care of one's mother and father, that this world does not exist, that there is no paralava with Gadnabbas, and that there are no Opapatika or instantaneous births in other realms, and that there are no noble persons or yogis who can see past lives. If one has one or more of these ditthis or wrong views, then one is on the wrong path. When one removes all 10 types of Micchaditti, one gets to Samma Ditti. Then the Buddha says in this sutta that there are 2 kinds of Samma Ditti. One is mundane and still has cravings or asavas. The key point is that one cannot get rid of the cravings until one sees the anicca nature and cultivates the yathabhuta jnana, as we discussed in the last desana. Therefore, the noble version of Sammaditthi is free of cravings and does not have any sanya vipallasa. And that is the first factor in the Noble Eightfold Path. Without the right vision or Sammaditthi, one cannot start on the Noble Path. One has to see the unfruitful nature of worldly things and that they cannot bring a permanent happiness in the long term. So the Buddha specifically says, one who has Samma Ditti of the first kind, or the one still with cravings, has removed the 10 types of Miccha Ditti. So both types of people with Samma Ditti have removed the 10 types of Miccha Ditti. But the Buddha says that the ones on the mundane path still have cravings, and therefore their meritorious deeds are contaminated by those cravings. Even if they are not aware of that, they do not have the anicca sanya. But those who are on the noble path have gained wisdom or panya by seeing Tilakknana, and therefore they are on the way to lose all types of cravings. An important clue for the difference between the two types of good paths comes when discussing the two types of Samma Vacha and the two types of Samma Kammanta in that sutta. There are 4 akusala done by the speech: lying, slandering, harsh speech, and empty talk or gossiping. These are called Vachi Duccharita in Pali, which can be translated as immoral speech. So the important point here is that in the Chattarika Sutta, the Buddha says, one is on the mundane eightfold path when one makes a determination to stay away from such immoral speech or Vachi Duccharita. The exact verse from that sutta is, Katamancha bhikkhave samma vacha sāsava punabbhāgya upadive pakha musavada veramani pisunaya vāchāya veramani parusāya vāchāya veramani sampappalāya veramani ayam bhikkhave samma vacha sāsava punabbhāgya upadive pakha. In English it says, what bhikkhus is right speech that is affected by cravings but are still meritorious: abstinence from false speech, abstinence from slandering, abstinence from harsh speech, abstinence from gossip or empty speech. That bhikkhus is right speech that is meritorious but has hidden cravings. So what is the difference in the Noble Eightfold Path? Again from the Sutta, Buddha says, Katamancha bhikkhave samma vacha arya anasava lokuttara magganga yachako bhikkhave arya chittassa anasava chittassa arya magga samangino arya maggang bhaviyatho chatuhi vachi duccharitehi ārati virati pativirati veramani ayam bhikkhave samma vacha arya anasava lokuttara magganga. So in English that says, what bhikkhus is right speech that is noble, pure and supermundane, a factor of the noble path. And these are the English translation of the Pali words: not liking, staying away from, will not do with any attachments, and abstinence from the 4 kinds of verbal misconduct by one whose thoughts are noble, whose mind is losing cravings, and therefore is on the noble path. That is right speech. That is noble, and that is the factor of the noble path. This is a key point that most translators miss. They of course translate the Pali words, but fail to understand the significance of those Pali words. The key Pali words in the above verse are Ārati, Virati, Pativirati and Veramani. Rati in Pali and Sinhala means something like liking or craving. When one starts comprehending Tilakknana, one begins to see that Dasa Akusala as things to be afraid of. On the other hand, someone on the mundane path knows that they are bad, but the real dangers of dasa akusala have not sunk into the mind. Arati is the first stage of seeing adina or dangers in dasa akusala. Virati is the next stage, where it becomes even more clear. Both arati and virati are developed by a sotapanna anugami. One really breaks bonds or sanyojana and gets to the pativirati stage with the sotapanna phala moment. Pativirati means will not do with even a trace of liking. For example, the non-killing precept followed by a sotapanna is panatipata pativirato hoti, or I will not take a life with even a trace of liking. Therefore, the comprehension of Tilakknana, the cultivation of the sotapanna anugami stage, and then the transition to the sotapanna stage is a gradual process. Some people get there faster than others. The Veramani stage is the one achieved by an arahant, and at that stage there is absolutely no possibility of taking a life intentionally. This is why even though a sotapanna is extremely unlikely to take a human life, it is not ruled out. A sotapanna is absolutely incapable of killing parents or an arahant. Now there are some key deep issues as to how a sotapanna is prevented from killing an arahant, because one is not able to see whether another human is just a normal person or one with magga phala. I hope to discuss this at a later time when we have discussed enough of deeper Dhamma. Now going back to the Mahachattarisika Sutta, the other key point is that the word Veramani is used in the mundane version, if you noticed. What this implies is that one makes a determination to be like an arahant one day in the future, to give up immoral speech completely and without a trace someday in the future. Now, after discussing the two versions of Samma Vacha, the Sutta discusses the differences between Samma Kammanta for the mundane and the Noble Eightfold Paths. The differences are the same as those for the Samma Vacha, whether one has comprehension of Tilakknana or not. At any of the 8 steps, the difference between the mundane and noble paths is one's mindset, whether one has the anicca sanya, dukkha sanya, and anatta sanya. Sometimes Buddha talks about asubha sanya as well. So there can be more than 3 characteristics. If you include asubha sanya, that makes it 4. Key point is that one on the mundane path has not removed any of these sanya vipallasa. We talked about the sanya vipallasa in the 3rd desana, I believe. So the differences between the mundane eightfold path and the noble eightfold path are made clear in the discussion of Samma Vacha and Samma Kammanta in this sutta. But the differences in other steps are along the same lines. Now we will change tracks and talk about another important issue. There are 2 key verses that are mentioned in many suttas. One is Uppada Vayattena Anicca, and the other is Yankinchi Samudaya Dhammang Sabbantang Nirodha Dhammang. Many translators analyze these 2 verses to give similar meanings. With the background that we have established, we can now see the difference between these 2 verses. In the 4th desana, we discussed the verse Pada Vayattena Anicca. It describes the nature of a sankata. Each sankata that arises will be destroyed, and that is one aspect of the anicca nature. Nothing in this world is forever. On the other hand, the verse Yankinchi Samudaya Dhammang Sabbantang Nirodha Dhammang has an entirely different meaning. That verse describes how to stop those unstable and unpredictable sankata from arising in the first place. The correct translation of the verse Yankinchi samudaya dhammang sabbantang nirodha dhammang is whatever dhamma that arise in the world can be stopped from arising. In the previous desana, we learned that we create the seeds for our own future lives by our own abhisankara. These abhisankara lead to the establishment of vijnana in the kamma bhava. Now, this is a fancy way of saying that kamma bija that can give rise to future bhava or existences and therefore future births are created by our own abhisankara in our minds. It is important to understand the true meanings of key Pali words like sanya, vijnana and sankhara, etc. Dhamma with a long A is another important word, which means the same as kamma bija. These key concepts were discussed in the first few desanas in this series and are also discussed in detail in latter subsections of the Living Dhamma section. As we know, abhisankhara are three types: mano sankhara, vachi sankhara and kaya sankhara. With those, we automatically think and then consciously think and speak and also do things with our physical bodies. So it is important to realize that any type of sankhara arise in our minds. We, or more accurately our gandhabhas or mental bodies, just use the physical body in order to speak out and also to do things with the physical bodies. Those dhammas are essentially kamma bija that are created in the sankhara paccaya vijnana and vijnana paccaya nama rupa steps in the paticca samuppada. Now, if you don't really understand this point, you may want to go back and listen to the earlier desanas and also read relevant posts. Since we ourselves create those dhammas in our own minds, we can stop generating them too. This is the key to Nibbana. So now, let us analyze the verse, Yang kinchi samudaya dhammang sabbantang nirodha dhammang. Samudaya is the key word in this verse. Samudaya comes from two words, sun and udaya. As we know, sun is a key word in Buddha Dhamma, which are basically defilements in our minds. Lobha, dosa, moha. Udaya means to arise. Therefore, sun udaya, which rhymes as samudaya, means that arises due to sun. Therefore, samudaya dhamma means dhamma that arise due to sun. So these samudaya dhamma are the kamma bija that arise in our minds due to our own defilements or sun. In other words, our own sankhara give rise to these kamma bija. Let me repeat this all-important point. Our own sankhara give rise to these kamma bija, which in turn give rise to future rebirths. Now, the next part of the verse is sabbantang nirodha dhammang, which means all those dhamma can be stopped from arising. Since we create our own kamma bija, we can also stop them from arising in the first place. So let me repeat the translation of the complete verse now. Whatever dhamma or kamma bija that arise, they arise due to our own sun or defilements or lobha, dosa, moha. Therefore, we can stop them from arising. You may want to hit the pause button and let this idea sink in. Whatever dhamma or kamma bija that arise, they arise due to our own sun. Therefore, we can stop them from arising. This is the Buddha's solution to the problem of suffering. As long as we keep fueling the rebirth process by generating kamma seeds for future lives, our suffering will continue. Dhamma here are the kamma bija or vijnana established in the kamma bhava via our abhisankhara. This is very important to understand. So we will discuss this in a bit more detail. Let us take some example that we took in the last desana to analyze this situation. As we discussed, a large oak tree